Bojo, Mskokii Kwed Ijnakas, Mong Dodem, Rama, Minjikaning Donjaba, Anishinaabe Kwe Ndiao. My Anishinaabe name is Red Earth Woman. I'm a member of the Loon clan at Rama, Minjikaning First Nation. I'm Anishinaabe. My English name is Sharla Peltier, Assistant Professor in Elementary Education in the Faculty of Education. In my work as a professor at the University of Alberta Teacher Education Program, I embed Indigenous practices, ideas, and principles into academic work, incorporating Indigenous traditions of teaching and learning. In the Canadian context today, teachers work to integrate Indigenous perspectives across the curriculum. This is responsive in light of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action and the new Alberta Education Teacher Quality Standards. Educators are socially responsible for building and strengthening the relationship between Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people. Today, every student has the opportunity to learn about Indigenous peoples, histories, languages, contributions, and ways of knowing with course offerings that explore Indigenous worldviews, experiences, and perspectives. Central to this work is studying the truths and impacts of the residential school era, spanning the 1880s to the 1990s. Learning about residential schools engages pre-service teachers in the wider, more critical discussion of the past and the present of Canadian colonialism and the multiple ways it has cost Indigenous peoples and shaped Canada. Thinking with stories is a way to explore Indigenous points of view regarding historical educational experiences and impacts on Indigenous peoples and relationships today. In the courses I teach, pre-service teachers understand education as experience and knowledge, not only within the school, but encompassing contexts and places, continuously shaping a person's life. As we perceive education in a broad sense, our attentiveness to growth and educative and miseducative experiences widens. In the classroom, we learn deeply about residential school by engaging with Indian Horse, the 2012 novel by Wagamis, and the 2017 Campanelli film. This is the story of Saul Indian Horse during the 1950s in Ontario and his miserable experiences as an 8-year-old boy in a Catholic residential school and traumatic impacts. Immersion in hockey and athletic talent leads Saul towards a future in professional hockey, and he eventually confronts his painful past. He draws on the spirit of his ancestors and the understanding of his friends to begin the process of healing. Attending to the life that Saul is making opens potential for inquiry into our lives and the multiple contexts and places shaping our identity and role as educators. Pre-service teachers engage creatively in an inquiry response to Indian Horse. Reflection prompts guide student creative expressions, and a classroom circle learning process for debriefing and holistic wellness brings honor to the depth and breadth of connections we share. Residential school education has been happening in elementary and secondary school classrooms for a number of years now, and educational materials, lesson plans, and teacher professional development opportunities tend to focus on curricular content and facts. Teachers who don't have a strong sense of self in understanding residential schools through the lens of lived experience stories are not wakeful to recognize that Indigenous peoples and their children are still in the truth-telling process of recovering our stories. We are experiencing the early stages of a healing process that will take several generations. At this time, many people are unaware or are in denial about the historical and ongoing pervasive violence of colonialism in Canada. Teacher education programs have to support educators to come to terms with our shared history and the impacts of past and present consequences and harm from schooling. As we share stories of truth, we can appreciate society's role in shaping the way we see and understand ourselves. Since the TRC, teachers are responsible for teaching all children and youth about Indian residential schools. They need to be prepared to create educational spaces with sensitivity to their students and to the students' family and community contexts. What is taught in the classroom has a ripple effect to family, community, and beyond. Residential school education triggers intergenerational grief and trauma. So how can we engage in this work ethically and responsibly? It requires collaboration with teachers and educators beyond the school. It means creating relationships with Indigenous families and community workers. Teacher education programs can seize the opportunity to bring Indigenous and non-Indigenous pre-service teachers together. I've learned so much from my teacher education program students over the past years. They participate in Indigenous ways of coming to know, and I have a renewed dedication to multimodal expressions of different knowledges in my classroom. Pushing the boundaries of knowledge creation through creative expression inspires a more social, responsive discipline. Art serves as a powerful connector of people, ideas, and experiences, and provides an outlet for emotions that may not be expressed through words easily or at all. Art moves us in an embodied way towards deep knowing and understanding, outrage, change, action, and empathy. Through art, we come to know deep insights on previously accepted ideas and experience innovation in teaching and learning. My students have graciously given permission to show their work for educational purposes. Student works have been shown at the Comparative and International Education Society virtual conference in 2021. This artistic installation is not called an exhibit due to the holistic journey experienced by the student artists or creators and the personal response of each visitor to the conference. It is not a transactional or passive process and moment that the viewer experiences, but an ongoing process towards wakefulness and embodied reconciliatory action as an educator. I offer a song to enliven the coming together of our hearts and minds. The song is dedicated to all educators who are experiencing the personal and professional journey of discomfort towards wakefulness and engagement in Indian residential school education. I want to acknowledge the strong women in my life and my grandmother ancestors whose prayers hold me up as a teacher today to overcome resistance to the reconciliation agenda. This is the Strong Woman's Song. much.